Hello, hi God. Okay, I need your help with this one. I know. I need to do better next time, right? Anyway, leo niko na mob ya kukushow. Welcome to Life Reframe Podcast, episode 6. Oh my God, I'm so excited. I'm so thrilled to be shooting another episode. Consistency is key, guys, and it is paying off. Thank you for the love, for the support, for the following, for the new subscribers. Karibuni sana. For the new listeners, karibuni. Also to my returning subscribers, listeners, and followers, thank you so much, and feel free to be in this community, in this space. Before I get too far off in the podcast, this is your host, Njumbi. And for those who don't know what the podcast is about, we speak about God, life, love, and mental health. So if those are your areas of interest, please stay tuned. And if not so much as well, stay tuned because you will not lack something to carry home. And today I'm super excited because for the first time, I'm going to be hosting somebody who is a very good friend of mine. And let me tell you something, getting love perspectives from both ends is the only solution to the problems that we are facing. And I just wanted us to decipher what is really causing us to have all these differences. Because for me, I have my point of view as a lady, and dudes also have a point of view on their end. So maybe you could start us off and tell us, like, what is the problem?
um, Basically, I'd say over time, the way we relate between one another has drastically changed. Lately, you'd find that so many people have insane levels of expectations for each other, and unfortunately, this information is not usually communicated effectively between both parties.
So what normally happens, because you find that people are not satisfied with the people they're in the relationship with them, because you find that you're checking out your neighbor's husband feeling like they will have made a better husband than yours. You're checking out your neighbor's wife feeling like they're doing a wife duty better than your wife, What exactly is that?
Don't you think that maybe that is as a result of maybe social comparisons? Because look at the space where social media has come to take place within our day-to-day society. Every single person is in Snapchat, Instagram,
Yeah.
Twitter, things of that sort. But when you're using these particular medias, you'll have that scenarios whereby different couples from different backgrounds are trying to showcase different lifestyles to each and every single person. So these particular lifestyles provide pressures to different groups of people who now want to emulate these particular groups of, or rather, societal influences. And in the process of doing that, you end up now losing aspects of you. So basically, you end up try and be someone that you are actually not.
Yeah.
Which also with time affects your values, your emotional nature, and also how you perceive life in general. Because at the end of the day, you look, let's say for instance, you've just gone onto social media, you find someone like Bahati having 7 billboards for like the wife, you'll be like, oh Lord, I want to be able to just.
And your chick's girlfriend, you just gave out like some
Man,
happy birthday text, or you even probably forgot. Jubilee stress
probably
has
you could just manage a lollipop. Because the funniest thing is every single day, the moment you give out something because you want to give it, it has better meaning than trying to go beyond a means that you're able to control. And that's why you find like most guys nowadays will end up going into scenarios whereby they even mug someone to just have that 5,000 that they can take their girl for a date.
I get it. And now when you even put it that way, I mean, it's just delving into more and more problems, because is it still a reason why like guys are failing to commit? Because I'm feeling like there's a certain age group of guys who would rather they never committed, because the pressure that's coming with this commitment is a lot. You're like, okay, Sawa, I found a nice chick, she's amazing, she's all this. But then probably let's look at both sides. You find a chick who probably just wants to live a lifestyle that's not within her means. And then there's also this other side where it's a chick who has really worked hard for her own money herself, and now meeting up with a guy who is probably not in the range. There's a cut of women where you find so many of them are in this working class, they're corporate, doing really good, not married, not in a relationship, hoping to be in one, but then they can never meet the guy's standards. So the guy is always left below the bar. So are guys struggling because of those two scenarios? Am I like, what exactly is happening? Because guys don't want to commit. On a date naturally for year 1, year 2, year 3. Why are they saying that they are waiting to see where this goes? Why are we waiting to see where this goes?
I feel like that one comes from various perspectives. I can look at it from a trust and betrayal perspective, and I can also look at it from an emotional baggage or some past experience challenges that someone has gone through that might also lead to some of these behaviors. Because first of all, for instance, you've previously dated a girl, you actually poured your heart, like literally poured it, every single dime about yourself. Then this person one day wakes up and goes with someone else, and you've done everything in your capacity. So at the end of the day, you feel like your trust has been broken because maybe when having these conversations, there was a sense of trust that you gave this other person, and you fully gave it. You didn't give it like half-heartedly or something of that sort. You were sure this is the person and this is what you want to move with. So when this person automatically broke your trust, you felt some sense of betrayal, So every single time you find that you now start bringing resentment into the topic. So every single time you see a dude or you see this particular kind of chick and they come with this kind of an approach, you have that trauma, which I would say is that emotional baggage that you've been carrying from that past experience that you had maybe with your third party partner. And now you're bringing it also into this new relationship. So there's no time that you've given yourself to heal, to understand yourself, and also to grow mentally into a space whereby at least you can be able to have a conducive kind of relationship. You're not able to fully communicate by yourself. You're not able to express yourself because, first of all, you haven't rather been intact with your emotions or feelings.
Yeah, I get it. But then I'm like, but also chicks get hurt.
That's why
we get hurt, but then we're willing to just give love another try, even if you know very well that you're giving your heart to someone to go and break it again. Possibly, we always have that possibility of, but doesn't mean that now I'll get into a relation. I'll have to be hurting all these people by keeping them waiting. If you know you're going to keep someone waiting, why can't you just tell them like, yo?
But it depends. At times you might find that actually a dude might be willing to settle down with you, but they don't feel or are not yet comfortable in terms of the timelines. Because maybe for them, they feel like they want to just be able to achieve a couple of things so that they can be able to make the next move. But unfortunately, at times some guys will take way longer than usual to try and figure out themselves. And unfortunately, during these moments, with time, you'd find someone having some weird tendencies that at the end of the time, you'll read it as something else, which will then lead to some form of breakup or rejection of sorts.
But you see, that's the thing. I'm like, if you are going to be in a relationship trying to figure yourself out, that's why you're asking for time, then you just let this other person be. Like, stop pursuing them. Stop. Like, mbono unanifunga hapo zero grazing. Why are you putting that person there and letting them think that there's something to come in the future? Because I feel like many chicks, we get into relationships because there is always a form of hope in every relationship that you're getting into.
Which is true. However, First of all, you also need to consider certain things that might be affecting or leading to the behaviors of the dude. For instance, the family, how this particular person has been raised. If this person is coming from a scenario whereby they've seen like maybe their parents being into some form of crazy quarrels, maybe at some point there's some form of rejection, at some point there's some form of abandonment, so they grow with these particular fears within themselves. And unfortunately, if they don't have that particular chance to, let's say, have a deeper conversation with you, because to be honest, most relationships today lack that aspect of communication. Not many people will just sit down and just express themselves fully. They'll always express themselves with a cap because they feel like if I can only give them the top layer, they can be able to stay with me. So
They're
that
called breadcrumbs.
Exactly. Give this person some form of breadcrumbs so that at least they can be able to sustain you as they figure out themselves. That way, they avoid the aspect whereby they'll be abandoned, so that they can always have you as much as they're not able to fully commit.
Oh my goodness.
And also, they'll also have these moments whereby, let's say, they're struggling with something, they want to share it with you, but are not in a capacity to share it with you because of maybe some of their own fears. So maybe they have like this trust or abandonment challenges that are always constantly reminding them of the past that has already taken place, whether through their family, maybe their sisters, maybe their brothers, maybe even just some of their friends. So these particular aspects as a whole, when they come in play and actually map back into one single unit, at the end of the day, someone will feel the urge or rather the need to try and hold on to something. Or in some cases, if you're actually a pretty woman and have a certain level of standards, they'll feel like, oh, she's too much of a higher class than myself, so one day they might leave me, you know. So with such moments, they end up holding on for the moment that they can, enjoying the connection that they've made, enjoying the kind of friendship that they have during this process. However, they still have that constant fear in their mind that keeps on reminding them tomorrow might not be the same as today.
But don't you think this trust and betrayal is happening both ways? Because after me as a chick have waited all that time, 7 years into a relationship, you as a dude have finally found yourself, you have realized your worth, you have found your way, your path, and then that's when you want to tell me that, hey, by the way, I don't think this can work. Especially, sasa hapa ndio they even notice that you're shouting, that you have a bad tonal variation, that why are they finding all these faults after now 7 years of you having the same tone? And then sasa nataka kukuacha.
You know, if you look at this concept in different perspectives, you will realize that at times you are seeing a relationship where you've been there for 7 years and maybe you had a very nice communication or something of that sort. But for them, remember, like, there are so many incompatibility differences that each and every single person has. There's some expectation that maybe this particular individual is having of you. You've not understood like their what are they called? Their patterns or their nature. So this is a person who maybe they have like a particular love language. You know, they have a particular way of showing affection. They have a particular way of expressing themselves. You, on the other hand, you're a totally different ecosystem from that. So the problem that will either arise from this particular moment is I know that the fact that I'm present, just sitting next to you every single day, that is the best feeling for this particular individual. But unfortunately, no one is communicating whatever challenge they are facing. No one is communicating that this is the kind of love that I am expecting. This is the kind of connection I would like us to have. This is the kind of nature I am, you know.
Yeah.
So these particular things happening on a daily creates some form of tension and also some form of friction that keeps on building over time. So you'll be seeing like, oh, those 7 years of perfectness, but in this particular sense, this guy is really struggling to just make that day work.
To have the bouquets and the
Yeah.
breakfast in bed.
Exactly. Even maybe at times it's just that the fact that he bought an avocado, he was expecting some good way of being respected, you know. You on the other hand, you're looking like, "Oh, who is going to eat that avocado?" I'm expecting pilau. I want to make pilau.
You must be hungry for pilau at this point. Amani, you're missing pilau and avocado.
You never know. It might be a code.
But I totally get you, because I feel like, okay, other than Yani, this thing is so broad, because for lack of commitment, there has to be other underlying issues. And as you said, love language is very important. Like for us women, we really understand and are very open to that term, love languages. Not many men are acquainted to it. Like not many of them are open to even having discussions of love language. As far as them, they have provided, the school fees has been paid, the rent has been paid, you have food in the fridge, you all stocked up, shopping has been done, everything that you require is there. They feel like they've done their part, forgetting that there are so many other things. Like for me as a chick, and I tend to believe that majority of the chicks feel the same, we want to feel loved even without the guy saying that they love them. And it's in small gestures like holding their hands, opening up the door. Like, I'm not talking about anything that should be financially straining. It should be something emotionally connecting, you know. I want to lie on your chest. I want you to cuddle me up. I want you to touch my hair. I want you to watch some cheesy rom-coms with me. And I want you to cook with me, or maybe if not help me cook, at least keep me company in the kitchen. Let's have stories. Let me feel vulnerable to speak to you about a guy who was hitting on me when I was at work, without you feeling insecure that I'm out there being katiwad. So we've lost the sense of having a best friendship in a marriage, in a relationship, that now it's like two human beings who just need to go do things together and sleep with each other. But then when it comes to being vulnerable, they go out there and share with other guy friends or chick friends on how vulnerable or how situations are running in their lives, you know.
But I think all this is just a matter of every single person being able to actually communicate.
Yeah.
And also working on their previous experiences.
Yeah,
if
true.
You end up going into any kind of relationship and you're carrying your emotional baggages from the previous relationship, you will end up keeping on the cycle of breaking up, having some weird arguments, not even identifying who you are, and actually over time you tend to actually lose your identity in the process.
Yeah.
And the unfortunate bit is once you lose your identity, it is very difficult to bring it back.
Yeah.
Because it's like losing that DNA that makes you.
Yeah.
For instance, let's say you're a very jovial person, but I keep on tormenting you every single time. I give you like flowers today, next day I'm knocking you with a padlock, the next day I'm beating you up, then I'm taking you to China the following day, you know. So I'm doing something, it's more like an incentive to make you be some kind of way. Then the next day I'm torturing you to an extent that you do not even understand what the hell is happening. If I continue doing that every single day, over time, what does it do to you? It ends up breaking you into pieces, because you're seeing this person who you've loved, you've cherished, you're looking forward to see an extra day with, but now they turn into this particular monster that you're living with every single day. And the unfortunate bit about that is, with time, it breaks you. It makes you lose that identity, that particular solidifying factor that makes you you. To an extent, when we meet up maybe inside a group of people, you find that there's this lady used to actually have a conversation with you, but at this particular time they're like they want a subtle approach of how you interact with them. They don't want you to maybe touch their hair, touch their hand, be in a certain proximity to them, so there are certain cues that they'll give you to ensure that you keep your distance, so that they don't have any chaos within their life. And over time you end up fearing even getting out of your house, because you feel like you might just move past that house and someone knocks you down, or maybe you end up meeting a friend of yours that actually brings another form of chaos back inside your home. So that over time kills that emotional aspect of you. And once these emotional aspects end up harming you with time, you lose trust, you feel betrayed,
Yeah.
and once you feel like your trust has been broken, you feel that level of betrayal. For some people who end up hurting further and actually pushing further with that particular nature, they end up now going outside there to hurt more individuals. And the cycle continues and continues and continues. To an extent, we have so many people with so many emotional baggages that they cannot be able to be themselves. There are fun and exciting aspects. The DNA that actually makes them has completely been disassembled.
Yeah.
On top of that, we also have this scenario whereby the difference that came up with ladies being uplifted over time, it brought some kind of financial tension within some relationships. Then, to make matters even worse, our government has not been making life any easier. So there are some people who are actually just struggling to make that bread for the day. And if they make that bread, then they come back home, they've done their best, they've been able to make like 200 bob, 300, 1,000, whatever they've been able to make, and they want to give their family the best meal, but the family is unappreciative of the son. So over time this one also destroys them.
True.
And that one with time makes this particular person want to look for that love, want to look for that particular kind of connection that they're looking with their partner outside with someone else.
Yeah.
And the problem is, the moment you start thinking or feeling like that, you end up now creating more havoc to your relationship, and also more havoc to the other person that you're taking the relationship to.
Yeah.
And who knows, that one might come with also extra baggages that you do not have.
Times two of a
Yeah,
lot.
that you really aren't looking
Yeah.
for. Then there's also the financial strain, whereby you'll find that in our current society, you have very powerful women actually outside here. You get out, there's this woman doing 6 figures, driving the latest Range Rover Vogue, and you're with this particular person in office every single day. They're just at their 20s. Oh, by the way, no sponsors at this particular rate. They actually are really working hard and actually have their craft together, So when you are a guy dealing with such a woman, at some points, if that particular connection is not there, you are not able to communicate fully, unfortunately that relationship will become a baggage on its own.
True.
But if you guys are able to actually have communication, you will find that it's also one interesting yet amazing relationship.
Yeah.
But it's not that you're being kept.
Yes. Yeah.
It's actually more of what you guys are able to discuss, how you're able to plan, and how you're also able to bring yourselves out of this particular hole that was your financial hell into a space whereby you guys can be able to help each other and nurture each other to the next level that you are both looking towards.
I feel like men needed people to guide them and just help them manage, deal, handle these empowered women, because we're having an empowered woman with a man who is not equipped in knowing how to handle or understand this woman, in being able to come through for this woman in other ways.
The moment you guys manage your expectations, it will not matter what happens on the outside. At the end of the day, I can still be, let's say for instance, me, for my case, I still do cook chapatis, I make samosas, I make times mandazis and things of that sort. But it's also because I love and enjoy doing those.
Exactly my point.
That part of things that I enjoy doing by myself. But now, you see, when it comes into a relationship perspective, I also have to communicate to my partner that it's not a must for her to be able to cook every single day to show that she wants to cook or anything. The main thing is, are you enjoying what you're doing? We can also like share our responsibilities. I can decide, like, let's say, tonight I want to prepare dinner for us. I'll prepare that dinner, and maybe because we've been able to have our form of communication, I've given you the expectation that if I'm cooking dinner, you're working with the dishes. So we've shared responsibilities in a way, and we've been able to create a scenario whereby we as individuals can be able to cohabit in our own way, own style. Because when you're bringing up this particular family of yours, you also have to set up what are the standards or what are the expectations you want to bring in within that relationship. It's not a relationship for others, it's you and your partner. So what works for both of you? In terms of finances, yes, finances is a very sensitive topic. In some cases it can go haywire. In some cases it can be able to work. But as I said, when you manage your expectations also on that particular platform, you realize that you're able to cohabit with your partner because you've already raised the expectations. If I'm down, how do we handle ourselves in a scenario where down? It's equal like you're now not able to provide, then someone is off running away to someone else because they feel like they'll be safer at the other side,
or treat you in a
way that actually loses respect to you. Because unfortunately, life can change any single second. Today you might be having $1 million job, the next day you're actually grinding in your farm. But at the end of the day, these particular dynamics can still change. You can be digging in your farm, the next day you're actually supplying Kenchik. Or you're the main supplier of pork for
Farmer's Choice.
So different dynamics come in play, or rather in place within any kind of relationship. But what matters the most is the perspective, or rather the personality that each and every individual comes with. Because each and every single person has their own persona. And that persona defines who they are as an individual. And if you can be able to tap into those personas and also express yourselves better, communicate better, limit your expectations, manage rather your expectations to a scenario whereby you're able to cohabit with each other, your differences will end up being your strengths.
True.
And I think that can also be my parting shot for the same. Manage your expectations.
Manage your expectations for sure. And I was even just thinking, as we were just having this conversation, like, for me, what would be my bottom line? What is the one main thing that for me I would consider so valuable? And I think for me it's a best friend, because I feel like we got it so twisted when it comes to relationships, and our work is what fulfillment can I get out of this relationship, as opposed to what experience can I get with this person in this relationship. Because I want to experience my partner in all facets. So I want to see you from a space where you were trying and pushing for all these projects to come through, and get to see you also in a space where you are thriving, because you're my best friend, because you're my homie, you're my G. I want to be there cheering you on. I am the only person who is going to see you for a lifetime and know you for who you literally truly are. Your partner sees the real you.
It is prudent that before you get yourself into a relationship, build some form of friendship. Pelekaneni hata nje, endeni hata mchape tu kastrol tu ile kienyeji, Munune pale kapaswa mayai, ona vile dema na dimbua.
Anafila ngapi?
Kana zichapaka 10, unamwangalia tu hapo ukipiga hesabu. I think people should also be open-minded when also going into relationships.
True.
Because the moment you are trying to create a relationship that is supposed to end up a lifetime, you have to also build that capacity. The way you build this capacity is by first getting to know each other. The easiest way to know each other is when every single person is bonding with nature. Nature has an interesting way of expressing who an individual is.
Yeah.
Because let's say, for instance, if I want to be able to understand some concepts about you, I can take you on a nature trail to Karura. While doing that nature trail, I'll see how you behave on or handle certain aspects.
Yeah.
I'll see how you'll be able to interact with different individuals from different environments. We will have moments whereby you're literally by yourselves. You will see how this particular person is able to handle those particular facets of the given day. Every single moment, you're not dating, you're not having any sexual affairs, you're not having any intimate kind of a relationship. It's just you guys having candid conversations. You know.
Oh boy. Like when you say it that way, it feels like a fairy tale because not many guys are willing to do that. Like, in fact, the first conversation, when if I'm not wrong, since it's been a minute since I've been Kosoko, but as far as I remember, and I still know people going through, is, hey, can we link up for drinks? Not many people are willing to think about it the way you're thinking, which is like, I'm telling you, guy, Yani, if guys were doing the way you're saying, they'd probably have not found themselves in the situations that they're in. There's this bad analogy that is there, that people want to have the sexual relations before engaging into a relationship so that they can test and see, like, whether that is the kind of person they want sexually.
Now that one also brings another thing. The moment you break your sexual purity before marriage,
True.
it also brings its own forms of craziness, because it changes the narrative. For instance, you've been outside there with so many people that by the time you're even meeting your partner, they do not suffice to be able to meet your ambitions. Because in this sense,
they're meeting a pro and you're a novice.
Exactly. you're used to very many crazy, maybe let's say, sexual positions. This particular person, the only thing they know is they've just heard of missionary. So
you're going with your acrobatic gymnastics.
Yeah, you want to be the best gymnast of the season. You want to try even crazier things. Kidogo unaambia msee chapa headstand, anashinda what the hell are these, So
Pataga Khan.
Yeah.
Broken neck.
Yeah. So when you come with these expectations from different past experiences, they also have their own ways of making you feel dissatisfied.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, you are more of doing comparisons rather than experiencing the person that you are with for who they are.
True.
When you're building a relationship, you're not only building a relationship that is just going to last for ati mumeka kwa kiti mnaweza have conversation. No, you're building a relationship that also has builds up your sexual intimacy. It builds that sexual tension when you guys are being in your own emotional aspect. It allows you to now explore things together. You can now be able to comfortably say, like, I prefer if we can maybe try out this. You might try it, the experience becomes even more amazing, and it also sparks it every day. And it also makes your partner bolder to be able to even bring the craziness out of themselves.
Yeah.
And over time, that fantasy that you had in your mind with your partner can actually become a reality, because you're also able to now genuinely train your partner to be the person you want them to be in the bed. It also builds up the connection that you guys end up building over time. So you won't have these moments whereby tumekaa tu hivi chini umeanza kuona kamse fulani kampita pale ka streets unafeel like nafaa kuruka hiyo fence kidogo, you know. It will be more like you're looking forward to see your partner. You just feel like there's this sense of connection that you have with your partner that is unbreakable, you know.
Yeah, and actually I've also realized that one thing I've actually learned is the moment you master your sexual purity. Let's say you've had sex before, and now you are choosing to have a different kind of lifestyle.
You want to be celibate for some moments,
yeah,
and actually just experience each other for who you are.
yeah, it is very hard because not very many people are doing it. But then, do you know the people who are able to master their sexual self-control, they can master any other art, because the moment you can look at the opposite sex and not look at them as an object or an item to just put in different position, then you will be able to conquer so much more. And even as you said, like, the more sexual partners you have, then you get into this relationship with so many expectations. You want to be acrobatics, the end, left, right, and center. I mean, it also goes the same as with the more sexual partners, the more empty you're left.
Yeah, because you're also killing like your spiritual connection. It's like having multiple spiritual bonds with different individuals that are also not unbreakable.
Yeah.
Because at some point, unless you're able to like just sit down, reflect on yourself, cancel any form of drugs, cancel any form of addictive material, kama wewe ni mse wa movies, games, nini, just get this moment where it's just for you, the Lord, and yourself.
Yeah.
You know, master the art of you being you in your element, no distractions. Wachana na social media kidogo hata angalau. Unajipea tu space yako. Learn a moment whereby you can be able to forgive yourself, and also just have a conversation with some of the people that you've been able to hurt in the process, or maybe you've been hurt by them in the process, so that you can reconcile yourself. The main aspect of such a moment is for you to reconcile with yourself, because the moment you reconcile with yourself, you can be able to break some of these bonds that you've created.
True.
Because if you go with these bonds that you've been generating over time, that's when you actually are also bringing up that emotional baggage with you. You
true.
are bringing those heavy memories, heavy challenges that have been holding you down, and they push you to the back end.
And I feel like, there's something the Bible says, that there are those things that can only be broken using fasting and prayer. And that is such, like, if you're getting into a serious relationship, you've been sexually active in your past, you ought to fast and pray. You have to reconcile with yourself, you have to forgive yourself. There are some situations that you put yourself through that you shouldn't have been there, but you didn't know any better at that time, so you just have to forgive yourself. And I feel like also it needs to, the stigma around it should be cancelled. Like, we should promote self-healing. We should stop stigmatizing people and saying that, oh, you in your past life used to be like this, used to be like that, because you didn't know any better. And even yourself, you need to heal and forgive yourself, so that by the time you're getting into a relationship that's for a lifetime, you're not carrying any baggage. And one thing is for sure that people don't know: our lives are very spiritual, and whatever is happening in our realities, whatever is happening in the spiritual realm, we are just manifesting it in reality. The moment you put yourself in situations where you are close to God, you are seeking guidance from the Holy Spirit, from your source, you're able to find yourself that the lifestyle that you lead will not put you into many temptations like the lifestyle you used to do by yourself. Because if you're running life by yourself, you will run them in your own rules, at your own convenience, at whatever makes you happy. But then if you have the Holy Spirit to tell you, like, these things are right, these are not right, you will not be getting yourself into more problems or into relationships or situationships with people who don't actually deserve your energy. The people who are not even supposed to be closely smelling your energy because of how highly valued God has put you. But then sasa jua tujui hivo, and we've allowed ourselves to be the drivers of our lives. It gets to a point God is like, okay, so you think you know what you're doing, then go ahead. Unajipata all you want to do is party, you're out here with this girl, tomorrow you're with this other one, tomorrow by the time you're getting to wanting to get married, umedharau hadi hao wanawake kwa sababu you've been hanging out with wanawake wenye wako na hizo behaviors zenye we upendi about yourself. You're just a reflection of the behaviors of the people you're hanging around with. So now they have broken you in the sense of hakuna kitu ya maana wamefanya au madem other than just drinking together, partying and dancing and sleeping with each other. There is no other value that they are adding to you. But let's assume you're hanging out with a woman or women that are geared to success, to growth, to carrying all the virtues that the Holy Spirit is, and they have self-control, they manage themselves well. They will motivate you to becoming a better man. They're like, hey, even me, I need a woman of this caliber. Even me. And for me to be having a woman of this caliber, this woman of this caliber treats herself in this way. She handles herself in this way. So I have to be a man who has certain characters and values that I can be able to have this kind of woman.
I think to probably add on that, I feel like both men and women should consider, if they're hurting, they should consider therapy for sure.
Ooh, wacha kwanza tupige makofi. The first guy in this planet, anyway, I'm kidding. But yeah, the first guy in my podcast to actually mention therapy on the first session. That's a blessing to hear. Guys don't even like hearing that therapy. Nenda kusema mashida zangu kwa mtu mwingine kwa nini, that's the attitude.
No, I feel like with the current generation, most people need to actually go for therapy. It can really help them express themselves and also build on the aspects that they feel they're lacking in. And that will also help them to love themselves enough to be able to have a relationship with any other person.
Makofi tena. Damn. Yeah, that's true. I feel like we repeat that part for loving yourself. I feel like that's a very important one.
Yeah, people should love themselves enough to be able to love another person.
True.
Because the unfortunate thing is you want to get into a relationship and you yourself do not even know how to love yourself. The moment you as a dude or you as a woman sit down, reflect on yourself, forgive yourself, and start mending whatever aspects of your life that you feel are demarcations that are bringing you down, and start rebuilding yourself slowly, you will find that you're capable to love yourself way more than any person can love you.
Yeah.
And the goodness of that is you tend to now attract someone within your ecosystem that can be able to also match the energy that you are emitting.
Very true. And you see, it's funny because when you say you love yourself more, it means then you will not want to put yourself in a compromising situation. This topic can even go up to ends and ends, but let me just try and summarize it in a few points that I've gotten to see. Like, one, we need good role models to back us up in our relationships so that we are able to see thriving marriages, thriving relationships, and people who are able to give hope of marriages and relationships. Number two, we need to manage our expectations. We stop getting into these relationships with all these expectations of this is what I expect a man to do for me, this is what a woman should do for me, and not communicate them. Because in as much as we have all these things that we want people to do for us, you need to air them out. You need to have the other person have the understanding of the kind of way you want to feel loved, or you accept love, or you receive love. So you also need to love yourself in the process, because How are you expecting this person to be here loving you, treating you, pampering you, yet you wouldn't do the same thing for you? Seek to be in a relationship with someone who is your friend, because with a friendship basis, it's easier for you guys to look into each other's eyes and be very honest with each other. If you have past baggages or past emotional traumas, you can be able to have this conversation as honestly and truthfully without judgment. And then now that creates a beautiful ecosystem for that relationship to thrive. Create time for each other, create time to know each other, quality time, not dating ya kwanza umeenda karura and then the next you're bumping into the bed. More like creating ample time to knowing each other, create experiences that both of you are able to see that this is actually the real person or this is a fake. Number one, epitome of the most. God has to be the driver, the centerpiece of these relationships. We have set God, and I keep saying in all of my podcasts, we gave God the passenger seat and we took the driver's seat, and that's where the problem came in. Because our work is so easy as human beings. We're supposed to just experience each other and let God take control over everything in our relationships. And whew, guys, need I say thank you very much for joining me in my podcast and being my first guest. High five.
Thank you for hosting me. It was definitely a wonderful session.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, thank you for your great insight, your great input. I mean, you just gave me hope. Like, I mean, at least there are guys out there who can, show a side that is soft and willing to try and work on themselves. We rarely do get that, but today you have surpassed our expectations. I don't know whether you have any parting shots before we wind up the session.
I think you took them directly out of my mouth. But as you've said, definitely put God first in every single deed that you want to take part in, even your relationship, your day-to-day activities, and you'll be surprised by the different ways he'll come through for you. In your day-to-day relationships, ensure you manage the expectations. This is not just your relationship between you and your partner, but also you and your employer, you and your friends, every single person that you keep on interacting with. Just ensure that you manage the expectations, and please do ensure that before you engage in any kind of relationship, that you've loved yourself enough to be able to have the room to accommodate such a relationship.
Okay. Thank you so much for that. To be honest, again, thank you for just sparing your time and just having this conversation with me. I know this conversation has gone like in and out, up and about, down to katikati ya mlima, but then I did not expect that we would have this, and I'm so grateful that we have. But with those very, very many closing speeches, I want to say thank you for all my listeners. Please do go and watch my previous videos if you haven't watched. Subscribe, share this to your friends. Please let them know that we are existing and that we are out here trying to spread love, positivity, and all nothing but goodness. And until next time, may you find favor and high regard in the sight of God and man. Peace.